conservative movement gets started in the 70s. They fight back. They get power in 1980. And these are the tides of history. And there needed to be a conservative movement. Now, to stop flipping out, okay? Now, I know they became radicals and they became things that were grotesque. And I know that parts of them, maybe even large parts of them, were grotesque to begin with, right? And these are the same folks who fought against Martin Luther King, et cetera, et cetera. But in 1980, when Ronald Reagan came into office, the marginal tax rate for the highest income group was 70%. Now, like you say that to people now, and they almost don't believe it. Like, oh, come on, it wasn't 70%. You're exaggerating. But I'm not exaggerating. It was 70%. And that's way too high. So there needed to be a conservative movement that, just for the sake of balancing things out, because that's the way I think history works. But now the conservatives have taken that, and they've taken it way too far. And as a response, a new liberal movement, progressive movement, has sprung up fighting against the conservative movement. And I can see clear as day that that movement is going to overwhelm the conservative movement for a number of reasons. One, as Dr. Galston pointed out in an interview in the last hour, the people that are signing up now as in their new affiliations as they turn 18, et cetera, the younger voters are overwhelmingly liberal. And we've had a number of guests on the show to talk about that. Partly as a reaction to the radicalism of George W. Bush. They look at Bush and they say, if that's a conservative, I'm not one of those. I mean, they're growing up in a time where we have a president who calls himself a conservative and is in a lot of ways is a conservative and has a popularity rating ranging from 28% to 19%. The obvious reaction to that is going to be driving younger folks to being more liberal. And then you have Barack Obama, who's feeding on that and who is showing people that a new way and getting people excited, etc. That helps incrementally, if you ask me. The liberal tide on the internet has swung tremendously. Outside of Drudge, the conservatives on the web are a tiny minority. For example, I've told you this before, Daily Kos, the biggest liberal website, not including Huffington Post, is larger than the top 8 conservative sites put together. And that's just one of the, and then Crooks and Liars and Alternate and Raw Story, et cetera, et cetera. They're gigantic. They're much, much larger than the conservative sites. Now, that has two things that are important about it. One, you control the flow of information. Now, back in the day, the old school people, and I remember even Ben and Michael felt this way for a long time about the blogs. Now they've come around a little bit. It is, oh, a bunch of bloggers sitting in their pajamas. Who cares? Are you kidding me? If it was just a bunch of people who didn't reach that many people, then of course no one would care. I wouldn't care. But they are sitting at the top of the information food chain. Because what's the first thing that the newsmakers do? They go to the internet. Now, I think all those crooks and liars and, you know, Democratic Underground, et cetera, I think they're all very important. But at the top of that, and Dave is going to roll his eyes, but he's dead wrong. The most important of all is Huffington Post. Huffington Post changed the game. It provided an alternative to the mass media to go instead of Drudge Report or in addition to Drudge Report. So they would go to Drudge Report, then they would go to Huffington Post, which summarized a lot of the left. And, of course, Huffington Post claims to be the center. And from my point of view, I think they're exactly the center. But I, of course, understand that some might view them as progressive, liberal, left, whatever you want to call it, right? And it is a game changer. So now when you go to the internet for information, you are far more likely to run into a liberal source than you are to a conservative source. And much more people are going to the internet for information. And then, secondly, and this is, at this point in time, even more important, money. It's all about the money, Lebowski. And what Obama did was take what Howard Dean started in 2004, and in Dean's time it was a trickle, and they were talking about, ooh, I wonder if this internet thing could turn out to bring us some money. This is a funny internet, right? He turned it into a fountain. He turned it all the way up. Now money is pouring into the Democrats from regular folks through the internet, and the Republicans cannot match it. I've given you some of the comparisons between a liberal fundraising site, not just even the candidates, but a general one like Act Blue, compared to Slate Card, which they recently started, the Republicans. It's comical. One side raises multi-million dollars. Act Blue is raised untold sums of money. And then Slate Card will send you an email bragging about how they raised like 21 bucks. They can't compete in this new age. So I see the future. And the future is liberal. And they, you know, people might not like it. They might not believe it. But I don't need you to believe it. And I don't need you to like it, because it's coming whether you like it or you don't.